And welcome back for part 2. Now to get the master cylinder installed. Now taking out the old master cylinder is pretty straightforward. There's two 9/16 nuts that hold it in place, and then you've got this tab for the brake lines here, which is held in with an additional nut. So what you need to do is take your master cylinder, in reverse order, slide it in, then take this tab that holds these brake lines and slip it onto the stud. Take the nut.
Ow. Was it raining?
Yes, it was.
And you're still out of it?
Yes, I am. Alright, that's on. Put the nut on. Switch out my socket for the 9/16. Make sure that's set to tightening. I don't know, he should have been gone already.
Weren't you just down there talking to him?
About an hour ago.
Was he awake?
Yeah. I don't know if you guys can see what's going on here. Just get that first one tightened down. You don't need to go super ugga-dugga tight. It just needs to be good and tight, because you don't want to snap that stud off. Okay, now that that's attached, you can run the other two nuts on. And from the booster video, don't forget to reconnect your vacuum line. Slip these on. That one should be good and tight. And then there's still this one here. I'm trying to keep these in the fluid. Stay down in there. electric ratchet, and that's good and tight. Next, you will go through, as soon as I can find it, there is supposed to be a little electrical connection that goes in right here, and that may have fallen. That's not it. So it's down in here somewhere, but you would normally reconnect that. I'm going to reconnect that last. I want to get these hydraulic lines connected next. So I'm slinging brake fluid everywhere, which right now really doesn't matter because this truck just doesn't have any paint. Okay, so I am going to need a wrench to remove these. You want to do one line at a time. Now the other thing is with these boosters, let me see if I can get light on it. Okay, with these boosters, you're going to have a little adapter right here on the back, the back port. You're going to have to remove that from the old master. I know I've been calling it booster. It's not a booster. This is the booster. This is the master. Technically, this is a reservoir. This is the master. You're going to have an adapter back here because your flare line fitting is much smaller than this one. So you're going to have to take that adapter off of the old master, and your master will come with a new O-ring. Put the new O-ring onto this adapter and thread it in, and just snug it up good and tight because you don't want it so tight that you crush that O-ring. So get that on there, and then you should be able to pop this line back in place. And these lines here, I may wind up having to re-loosen the master, so all three nuts will have to be re-loosened in order to actually get these to thread in. But let me grab a wrench and get these bleeder lines off. Okay, so for the rearward line, we're going to use an 11 millimeter just to get that loose. The forward line, we'll use a 17 millimeter. Metric things, I know. Here, it should start to leak a little bit. And then try and move this line up here into position. This is where it can get a little challenging. because even though these have got a little bit of flex to them, okay, so this rear line is a 7/16 crow's foot. They are under some tension, so you're not going to be able to really thread them in by hand, but this is threading pretty smooth. At least it had better be threading, but it does. Give it a couple more turns here, and yes, it is going in. I'm using a crow's foot because I really do not want these getting rounded, even though they actually came off pretty good, pretty easily. And give it just a slight ugga-dugga, enough to make sure it's got a good seal. Now this forward line may be the basket case of them, so 17 millimeter wrench just to knock it loose. And that is a leaker. Okay, and this is going to utilize a larger crow's foot, and it ain't even in there. This one's going to be the basket case. It's going to be my special one. And I am leaking fluid profusely at this point. So it's going to be the 5/8. And it is wedged on the line. There we go. Let's try this again. And the struggle is real. Okay, so that has started threading on. 5/8 crow's foot should be enough to finish seating this. And not a whole lot of fluid loss. I am going to have to re-top up, but the reservoir has still got fluid in it.
cells. Going in mid.
Alright. Little ugga-dugga, that's good and tight. And I did not lose a whole lot of fluid. So this was filled right up here into the neck. It is now just below the max line. So I lost a little bit of fluid, but not a whole lot. The flared lines are on. These connect right down to the proportioning valve, which diverts off one section going to each of the two front brakes. Then the next section from the prop valve goes back to the RABS module, which is the rear anti-lock brake module, attached to the frame just behind the high pressure fuel pump and fuel filter, and then runs all the way back to the rear brakes. So I need to grab the cap for this and get this sealed. I am not going to fill this just yet because I will be watching the fluid level and topping up as I bleed the brakes, which will be in the next one of the upcoming segments. I still have to go through and redo the rear brakes, and I still have to redo the front brakes. And I have all the parts for the rear, but not for the front. I'm still missing calipers, rotors, and hub seals in order to do the front. And this particular truck, I'm not going to be replacing the hubs on account of I don't have the $600, $600 to $800 to actually get replacement hubs for this. This is not a Dana 44 front axle. This truck is equipped with this is a Dana 50, and unlike the 44 where you can just go down to your local parts store and get a hub and rotor assembly with brand new races already installed, you can't do that with the Dana 50. The Dana 50 you can only get rotors. If you want hubs, there is a company, I think they're back east. I'd have to relook them up, but there is a company back east that does produce brand new spindles and hubs for the Dana 50, and generally you want to replace them as a set, and the total cost is going to be right around between $1,500 to $2,000 to get the spindles and hubs to service your axle. So in this case, I'm having to reuse these parts. I will be going through and doing a different servicing technique. So basically replacing races, bearings, seals, servicing the manual lockers, and checking the spindles to make sure they're still in good shape, which they should be. I don't have any seized bearings as far as I can tell. These wheels actually move pretty well. But in order to replace the rotors, which will definitely need to be replaced because they are warped, I can feel it every time I hit the brake pedal. You have to press all 8 lug studs out in order to separate the rotor from the hub. I will be showing that on the video in which I do the front brakes on. That should be coming up here within the next probably 2 weeks. Right now I'm just waiting for funds to be able to get the parts I need, because I will be putting brand new pads on, reman calipers, new rotors. I've already got soft lines. I've got quite a few of those parts. So let me go grab the cap, put onto this master cylinder, and that will conclude the brake master cylinder. Alright, master cylinder is capped. Now I've got to go through and find that electrical connection to plug into here, and this will be done. So let me grab Mr. Worklight and see if I can find that. die. Not there. There it is. So you just take this. You gotta make sure this tab is down because this only fit one way. Press it in and voila. Alright. Booster has been replaced. That was in the previous video. Brake master cylinder has been replaced. Now the next thing you want to do is go through and bleed all four wheels and your RABS module. On these Fords, there is an additional bleeding point that you want to hit. Normally, let me get this work light set back up. There. Normally, after doing a job like this, you'll want to go through, you want to start from the furthest wheel from your master cylinder, which in this case is going to be the passenger right rear. So the right rear, then you'll want to go to the left rear, then you want to go to the driver passenger front, which is the right front. Then you want to go to your RABS module. Then from the RABS module, you want to go to your driver's front, the left front. Alright, the RABS module is located on the driver's side frame rail behind the high pressure fuel pump, but directly in front of your fuel tank selector valve. This truck is equipped with twin tanks. It is running the high-low pressure system, which 89 was the last year of that. 1990 was the first year they went with in-tank high-pressure pumps. So I'm running 3 fuel pumps right now. My rear tank is the only one working. My front tank is my front tank is the only one working. My rear tank is dead. Floyd is the one with the rear tank working. The front tank is dead. In fact, the front tank on Floyd has been completely removed. But that's beside the point. We're working on Big Green right now, so so that would conclude the upper half of the hydraulic system and the vacuum system. So vacuum assisted brakes, the booster, master cylinder. The next step is going to be rear brakes. I may wind up getting to that probably this next weekend, while I'm waiting to get the parts for the front brakes. But tomorrow I will get some assistance to help me at least bleed what I have, so that I have confirmation that there is no air in the system. So with that, now you know what I'm working on. I will be putting out an update video on why it has been so long since I have last put out a video. I do recall the last video that I put out, aside from doing the booster video, which is still in processing as we speak right now, was an update on my injuries and Frankie, my 1986 F-150, which I still have, and I do plan on going through and rebuilding and reversing the damage that was caused. There's actually a little bit more damage than what was initially thought. So if you don't know what has happened with Frankie, my 86 F-150 single cab short bed, go back and check out that update video. The thumbnail just shows my arm in a cast, and I actually go over the vehicle and the damage and exactly what happened. So if you're unfamiliar with that, go check that out. But Frankie will hopefully here within the next few months, if not at least a year, while I'm waiting on a new garage to be built. should hopefully about that time start making a return. The engine has not run since the night of the wreck. It has been about 1.5 years since the wreck. So I'll be getting around to doing a old start, cold start for that engine, the 300 inline 6, to see if she still at least fires up, and then go through and start tearing her apart so that I can start rebuilding her. So with that, you know what I'm working on. 1989 Ford F250 XLT Lariat with the 7.5 liter 460 V8 5-speed ZF S542 manual transmission, 4-wheel drive with the Dana 50 front end and a Sterling 10.25 full float rear end, and limited slip, which has got some issues in itself I have to address. And with that, you know what I'm working on. What are you waiting for? Get out there and work on something. And as always, I'm Dr. Frankentruck, and I'll see you next time on the operating table.